Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite techniques for the pre-spawn, into the post-spawn, into the summer, and it is using creature baits on a split shot rig. So let's dive underwater and see what we're talking about. Alright guys, so when we're talking about running a split shot rig, think of it as a mini Carolina rig. First thing, you need 3 things to run the rig. Number 1, I like to use these tiny tungsten weights. They're Pro Tungsten Split Shots by Mr. Finesse, and I'm gonna show you how to use those. Then I like a offset worm hook, and at the end of the day, what I'm throwing is a mini Carolina rig. Now, I like creature baits because they look like a bluegill profile, and you'll see the colors that I'm going to throw underwater. Literally, they are bluegill colors: green pumpkin red, green pumpkin blue, green pumpkin black, green pumpkin gold. Whatever your bluegill color is, you want to try to match that profile. And we're talking really close to the spawn here when fish get kind of finicky, and then right after the spawn when fish are kind of finicky. This split shot rig is going to be a dream. So let's show you how we tie up this rig. Okay, so we're gonna take our number 4 offset worm hook here. I like red for this application. I always like red for most of my soft plastics and all my crankbaits. Don't ask me why, I just feel like red hooks give it that little extra pop when we're talking about it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tie my hook on to this line. And what I'm making essentially is a mini Carolina rig. And what we got here, so we're gonna make these loops, tie this off. And what we're effectively looking for is a 12 to 18 inch leader, and I'm making this rig out of 8-pound fluorocarbon. So we want to get about 18 inches of line right here, and what we're going to do is we're going to back it off. Now these tungsten split shots in my hand right here are already pre-lined, so what you're going to do is you're going to put this on your line just like that, and then you're going to take that line and you're going to wrap it. And what we mean wrap it, literally you're gonna wrap, these are designed to have your line be one piece and you don't have to crimp it on. Now you can crimp it on with like special split shot and stuff. What you're doing is wrapping this 3 times around and then pulling it tight. And what it then does is it ratchets down on there, and what you've got then is a mini Carolina rig. So there's your weight all the way to your hook, and what this is going to do is it's going to suspend that bait off of the bottom. And what we mean by suspend that bait off the bottom, we're going to Texas rig it right here, and voila, we like this rig to look just like that right there. And I like the red hook to give it a little extra pop. So there is your split shot rig. Okay, so now that we know what the rig is, let's talk about the rig underwater. The first bait that I'm going to throw on this is the Googan Bandito Bug, and I really like it this time of the year in Alabama Craw. Now, this bait has a nice glide. You can see those legs give it a lot of action, but the thing that this bait has is it has an epic profile, and a split shot rig is going to hold it up out of bottom weeds. This time of year, into the late spring, early summer, we get a lot of algae blooms, junk and crud on the bottom. The split shot rig or the Carolina rig is meant to float that bait above this junk, and it kind of comes up and falls out of the picture as you see it there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish this kind of like a Carolina rig, but kind of like a jig. It's a lift and fall. Lift and fall. And the Bandito Bug has an amazing profile on the bottom. I really like the orange belly and the green back. It's very much crawfish, very much bluegill. And the time of the year when bass are on the beds, the Bandito Bug is an absolute killer, right? It's going to literally be the correct and exact profile that we are looking for in this presentation. Now, staying in that family, my next bait up is one of my favorites. If you watch the channel, you know all about it. It is the Berkley Power Bait Crazy Legs Chigger Craw. And this bait is an absolute destroyer in a lot of things, but I really enjoy this bait. This is one of the first baits that I used when I started doing the split shot technique. And I use the split shot technique a lot, and I don't tell a lot of people about it, and it's really old school. But the Chigger Craw has a nice undulating action. If you want to tone it down a little bit, you can cut those long tentacles off. I like the tentacles on there. This is especially deadly on deep weed lines. 15 feet of water, moving up. If you have a steep break, letting that Chigger Craw get pulled down by that tungsten weight is a great way to hook up with bass. It's got that nice undulating fall there. It's got those nice profile. It's in between a bluegill. It's in between a crawfish, and it looks really good in that situation. Number 3 up, we have another creature bait, and this one's a custom creature bait I get from Jack's Custom Baits. And I really like this bait shallow around pad fields or up around docks because it is a big profile, but at the same time, it's got a nice copper flake in it. It's got a nice black flake in it, and it really looks good on the fall. But at the same time, this is a great colored water bait because it just has a big profile, and it does a fantastic job kind of gliding and slow falling. Those nice tentacles undulate in there. This has a scent to it that fish, I don't really know what's in Jack's Custom Bait, but it's got a scent on it that fish really seem to like. This is a bait that I really like to throw in the late pre-spawn into the early post-spawn. Male spawners are going to just demolish this bait for whatever intent and reason. It's just a good-looking bait, and it does a fantastic job for me this time of year. Next up, we have another classic staple here in my lineup, the Biospawn Vile Craw, and I like this one in green pumpkin red flake. I really like the Biospawn bait when fish are really kind of under pressure, high skies, clear, no wind. It is very action-based, but it's a subtle action. You can see there, it doesn't have a lot of movement. It's almost like a flipping bait. But that Biospawn Vile Craw, literally it comes through here. I think Fluke Master was the first person that I see throw this on a split shot rig, and he caught like a 10-pound bass, something crazy on it like that. It's just got that very subtle action. I like it when the fish are moved up shallow. It's early in the morning, but they're not really eating too much yet. It's a great bait for hitting kind of those fish that are not really wanting to eat yet or kind of turned off because of the weather patterns. Up next, moving out of the realm of creature style baits, this is one of my favorite baits. It's a versatile worm. It is the Rage Tail Cutter Worm. And the cutter worm on a split shot rig is crazy good. You can see that tail action, but then it falls like a Cinco. So it's got swimming action like a swim bait, then it falls like a Cinco. And it comes through everything. I really like this rig in extended grass. It does a fantastic job for me, cutting through all of that junk and crud and actually being a nice bait to throw. A lot of guys in Florida throw this bait. Not a lot of guys in the northern states are throwing a cutter worm. It's a swimming worm by nature. You don't always have to swim it, but it looks good swimming. And it's another way to contact these fish with baits and techniques that they don't normally see. I really like this on deep patches of grass where I can let that worm fall a long way, swim. They're going to follow it down into that grass, and as soon as it comes up, they smack it. This is one of my best largemouth baits that I don't really tell people about up here in the northern part of the country because it's just not something that a lot of these guys are going to fish up here, but it gets it done for me consistently. You can free rig any soft plastic bait. Guys, I hope you learned something today. Hope you enjoy the content that the channel's putting out. We're growing by leaps and bounds right now. We've almost tripled the amount of followers we've had since the fall. So we just want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let us know how the channel can help you in the future. One of these days, we're actually going to get to fish instead of just going underwater, instead of just me talking about baits and lures. We're actually going to get out there and fish. If this cold, nasty spring would get over without the 50-mile-an-hour winds, it would be great. But give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you out there, folks, next time.